欢迎回到钱进前十趴。今天请到的是我非常非常好的朋友，那这也是我们频道第一次用全英文的方式做一个访谈。他的名字叫 Benjamin. Benjamin, how are you doing today?
It's very good to see you. I'm doing great.
Okay, so we know each other for like, I think over a decade, right?
Yeah, I was thinking maybe about 12 years, actually.
Right. So me and Benjamin, we met at the CrossFit gym. And then
That's right.
6 a.m. class, and then we've been doing it together for maybe five or 6 years, right?
That's right.
Every day, me and Ben's gonna meet each other at the CrossFit gym at 6 a.m. And we have been doing it for like 5 years. Eventually, we stopped because of COVID.
That's right.
But then during that time, it was one of my greatest run for my CrossFit career because CrossFit is very hard, very hard. I know you're still doing it, right?
I am still doing it, yeah.
Okay, so basically for me, like after COVID, and then obviously I moved to Chino and then I moved to Irvine, it's very hard for me to continue it without a pal like you.
Yeah, you're right. It's hard to do that.
Because it used to be like 6 a.m. every day. It's you, me, and Alex, right? Mm-hmm. And then that makes it really, really fun. And then every time one guy doesn't show up, and then the other two kind of count each other, like we count each other accountable. Mm-hmm. So it actually makes me want to show up every time.
And you share each other's lives.
Exactly. And then we get to talk about life, talk about career, and then talk about a lot of stuff. So basically, you saw me grow up. Don't you think?
We've been through some ups and downs, yes.
So when we first met, I was like maybe 27 or 28, and I think you were just approaching 40, if not 40, 41.
Yeah, but athletically, we were exactly the same. Why was that?
Yeah, and then we're talking about like you're reaching your peak at 42.
Yes, I peaked at 42. And
now it's way over that.
Yeah, I'm way past that.
And then also Alex, I remember the first time I met him, he's 38. And then I'm already over that age now. I'm approaching 40. So time is like, it's just basically like snap of the finger and then feel like a decade just passed by. And what do you think about me? Like, do you think, what do you think about my maturity? Like some of my viewers might not be able to see that side of me because I had my channel 4 years ago. Mm-hmm. So what did you see in the past 10 years? How I transformed from a kid to a man?
Well, you weren't really a kid. I mean, when I first met you, you were already a business owner at that time. You remember?
Yeah.
And you'd already been in the working world for a few years. You'd done some different things. We went through some challenging experiences that you had. I don't know how much
romantically.
Yes, romantic experiences you had with
ex-girlfriends.
Yeah, ex-girlfriends and the challenges of that and trying to navigate. And then I was there when you met your wife and all that courtship that you guys had and the dating and everything. And I was there at your wedding and when you had your first baby and I was there the night your baby was born.
Oh, yeah.
Remember?
Yeah, that's right.
That's right.
So basically, I feel like that was like a crushing blow to me. Like for my career, up until this point, the ex-girlfriend thing, the breakup, the troubling with the business, and then during that time, I think that was like the low of my life. I think, and then during that time, I don't know if I was able to survive without CrossFit and then without you.
Really? Well, yeah. I mean, you showed a lot of perseverance through that time.
But then I was going through like some really, really hardship. And then I feel like during that time, CrossFit, showing up every day and then having somebody like you and even Alex, I think you specifically because we talk more in terms of like the detailed personal life and stuff like that. Yeah. So I feel like that was really, really helpful. And then I don't think I had that opportunity to tell you that because during that time,
the first time, yes.
Yeah. So during that time, I was really, really defeated. And I to be honest, I was quite crushed during that time, rather romantically or like business side. I was going through like some really, really hardship and I was actually like in debt. I was in a really, really bad spot. So showing up in CrossFit really, really, really helped me. I feel like during that time, so when everything was seemed hopeless, I felt like showing up at CrossFit every day at 6 a.m. was a huge difference.
Yeah, helps you to make it through.
And then talking to you was huge difference. And then I know I never say this in front of you. I think you're the only person, not only person, but I feel like you are somebody like I know with the most wisdom.
Really?
Yeah, I think you're one of the smartest people I know. I have met a lot of...
That's very kind of you, Derek.
I know.
I'm not used to this with you.
I know. Just because I want to tell you a lot of stuff that I feel over the years, because obviously doing this business, I have met people who makes tens of millions of dollars every year. But then I feel like making money and having wisdom is two different things.
Yeah, that's right.
A lot of people, they are really rich, they're really wealthy, but then they have a terrible personality, and then they don't have the wisdom to match their wealth. And then you're one of those person I always respect. So I want to hear from your side, like how you see me develop from a 28 years old till now.
Well, I mean, it's tremendous. I mean, you've I guess I've seen you at your lowest low, as from your own words, and now you're just doing. I mean, beautiful family, beautiful little boy. You know, you're a father now. Lots of wonderful things happen in your life, and your business is going so great. You know, you're a superstar. You're a superstar, and
so I feel like don't you feel like I was a little bit? I always feel like when I was younger, like in my early 20s, I was a little bit cocky, a little bit arrogance.
I mean, we all are cocky, I think, at that age.
But I feel like as I was developing, as I get more comfortable, and then I become more humble at the same time.
I think you've grown in a lot of wisdom, actually, since those days.
I try to be like you.
I mean, you have. You were, I wouldn't say idealistic, maybe.
Yeah.
And now maybe you're a little bit more realistic.
Because when you see people making so much money, when you see like people like so successful, you kind of like before, when you're younger, when I was in my early 20s, I always felt like I was the best. I was able to do everything. And then when you see like people who have so much more achievement than you, and then they're so humble, it kind of humble you in a way.
Yeah.
And then I feel like people with true wisdom is going to learn from that process. Because a lot of people, they just never learn, right? And then as they make more money, they just become more cocky. So I feel like money sometimes can be a magnifier to how you really are.
That's true.
Right? It magnifies the personality. If you're a really good person, I think if you have more money, then you can do a lot more goods.
I feel like the foundation of your life has to be something other than money, because with money, there's never really enough, ever.
Exactly. So Benjamin is a trust attorney, and then very successful in his field. And then how did you become an attorney? Like, what's what's the process for that? Because knowing you personally, I don't think attorney is something that matches your personality, because you are really relaxed.
We've had this conversation many times. Where you think, yes.
So I was always very, very curious, like how you become an attorney, because you are such a kind person, very generous. And then just traditionally, people think attorney as you have to be like hard-nosed, hard-fighting. Like you have to always show like a mean face. You have to like argue. You have to like make your points.
And I have that side of me. I mean, they train you for that when you're in law school to be that way, but it's not my nature.
Okay, so tell me about you, like how you grew up. I know you were from Missouri, right?
I grew up in Missouri.
And then tell me about how you go from a kid till where you are today.
Well, I was born and raised in Missouri, a typical, I think, Midwestern family. Right. So I grew up in kind of white American culture. I didn't know any Chinese people at all. But I went to college in Kansas City, and I got the opportunity to study overseas. So I went and I studied in Hong Kong for a year.
Benjamin also speaks Mandarin. If you guys, I know you guys will be shocked, but then he actually speaks Mandarin, and he understands most Mandarins. I'll say like 80%, maybe 70%.
Probably 80%. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, what happened in Hong Kong, and then what did you do?
Well, I studied there, and then that was really my first interaction with Chinese people. Okay, and then I came back, and I kind of think I went through reverse culture shock. Okay, and anyway, I came back, and I'd always wanted to give my life to things that matter.
Okay.
And one of those things that mattered in my life was my relationship with God.
Okay.
So when I came back, I actually became involved in a Chinese church in Kansas City.
Oh,
yeah,
interesting.
And I was on staff on that church as a minister for about 8 years.
Okay.
And through that experience, that's really where a lot of my Chinese solidified. You know, I kind of learned in Hong Kong, but then I know it sounds strange, I learned Mandarin in Hong Kong. Anyway, that's where I learned it, and I was able to kind of develop it during those years as a minister in the Chinese church.
Were you always a Christian growing up, or?
I became a Christian when I was 9.
Okay, so pretty early.
But my parents didn't really. My parents were really good people, but they were kind of maybe Christmas and Easter type of Christians.
Okay.
And later on in their life, kind of after we left for college, they started going more consistently. But it was my grandmother that took us to church.
Okay.
And then other than that, my mom and dad kind of dropped us off and went home to read the paper.
Okay.
So
Was there really a point where you really truly believe in Jesus, or
Yeah.
you were 9 and then because 9 years old, nobody really knew everything.
It's very two-dimensional, right?
Okay.
My experience with God at that point was I wanted to do what He wanted me to do, and I believed it was the right way. But it really wasn't until I was probably about 12. I don't think I've ever told you this.
No.
My best friend committed suicide.
At 12?
At 12.
What?
Yeah. When I was, and that was a really, really challenging experience for me.
How do you do that?
Since I was 12, I don't really understand all the details. I mean, it was and a lot of this I've had to kind of work through emotionally. But he had access to a gun in the house.
Wow.
And but the crazy thing about it was he was like my friend, and I was talking to him every day, and I didn't know anything about what was going on with him. You know, and you kind of have to forgive yourself as a 12-year-old, because 12-year-olds are kind of very focused on themselves.
Yeah.
They're not focused on other people. But it rocked my world at that point. And I remember it was so difficult to be able to work through those issues emotionally. And my parents did the best they could. I mean, they're really good people. They're trying to help a kid who doesn't know what to do. But that was the first experience where I realized that it's not just about believing the right things, it's about depending upon God through hard things. And that was the hardest thing I'd ever been through at that point.
Wow.
But those lessons that I learned at that emotional state was really what began to shape my trusting God as I grew up. And I'm a Christian, so specifically I'm a follower of Jesus. But all those things shape me. God has never failed me. There's been times when I have failed Him, probably over and over again, but when I've trusted Him, it always turns out better. Anyway, that's after I came back from Hong Kong, I was already thinking about going into ministry, and I was already planning that. And so I went and I got involved with this Chinese church, and I became on staff. And then I went to seminary. You know what seminary is?
Yeah.
So I went to seminary, and I thought I was actually going to teach Old Testament in a seminary.
Oh.
So I love that stuff. I know, I've talked to you about this. And but I love, the Bible is written in Hebrew and Greek, so I learned Hebrew and Greek, and I learned archaeology and all this stuff, and it was a wonderful time. And it was through that church that I met my wife, who's American-born Chinese. Yeah. And my wife's dad came down with cancer.
Oh.
He had, have I told you this?
No.
There's a lot of news stories today.
I know.
Anyway, they ran a pretty successful Chinese restaurant in the Kansas City area, actually South Kansas City, way south of Kansas City in Lewisburg. And she was, he came down with stage 4 cancer, and all of a sudden, he basically lasted about 4 months.
Oh, wow.
And then he passed away.
It was quick.
The only thing was, he was like the main cook of this restaurant. He was the main, kind of the leading driving force in this business. And but he was kind of a typical immigrant family in the United States where he hadn't really planned, or he didn't understand what needed to happen. So he had done no business planning on what would happen if I'm not here. He had done no estate planning. So what would happen to my kids? Who's going to take care of the money? He had done nothing. So, and he had no health insurance.
Wow.
So we were, you can imagine the cancer bills.
So until that point, you haven't got involved to the route of becoming a trust attorney?
No, it was, I mean, other than maybe someone kind of mentioning it to me, I wasn't an attorney at this point.
So what did you study before that?
For my undergrad, I was a business major and a communications major.
Oh, wow. So
and then I went to seminary, and I got a Master's of Divinity, a Master's of Arts in Biblical Archaeology, and a Master's of Arts in Biblical Languages. So I got 3 master's degrees because I thought I was going to teach Old Testament. And it was at that point that my wife, her dad died, and all of a sudden, we were actually dating at that time. We weren't actually married, but we had to run the Chinese restaurant for the family.
Okay.
So here I was, a white person who had, before that, I'd never met a Chinese person. Before I went to Hong Kong, I didn't even know any Chinese people. Then I kind of became a part of this world, and all of a sudden, we're running this Chinese restaurant in Kansas City.
So how do you become a trust attorney? Is it because of that point you see like how important it is?
Yes, but it took me a while to get out of it.
Okay.
Because, Chinese people have a lot of, I don't know the best way to say it, superstitions about death. Is that the best way to say it?
They don't want to talk about it.
They don't want to talk about it, right? So, we tried to sell the restaurant immediately, but because there was death hanging over the restaurant, in other words, we couldn't sell it to another Chinese person. So nobody would talk to us for like a year.
Wow.
But we had all these cancer bills. So we had to, my wife and my girlfriend and I had to run this restaurant. Now, she is a tremendous businesswoman. I mean, you met my wife. She's very, very smart. And she figured out a way, because we have Chinese cooks and we have English-speaking teenagers. So she figured out a way for those 2 different people to communicate. She made a whole code system that both sides could understand. Anyway, she worked it out, and we were able to build the business up but it took about 3 years to get there. It was supposed to last 6 months. It took 3 years.
Wow.
My wife went to nursing school, and then I kind of floundered in my life. After I finally got out of the restaurant, I was like, oh.
How old were you at that time?
Probably early 30s.
Oh, wow.
31, maybe.
You've got to be a smart man.
Why?
Because you get involved in the attorney world when you were in early 30s and still made it quite easily.
Well, I wouldn't say it was easy. It was a fight because I had to totally shift my direction. I was going to teach, and then I had to, on the advice of my dad, the economy was going down. It was about 2007, 2008. Okay. And the economy was going down, so a lot of churches were not hiring. I could have, gone out of state, but if I would have done that, I would have had to leave my wife, and we'd have been separated, and so I didn't want to do that. So I got a job at a bank, and they were very good to me, but it was pretty boring. And then I had some other opportunities in ministry that didn't come through, and so on the advice of my dad, I went to law school.
Wow.
And I went and I hid from the economy in law school.
How long did it take you?
Just over 2 years to get through law school. I mean, I was a little bit older, so I was like, I got to get this done. And so I did. I just worked. but I naturally gravitated towards what I do today because all the stuff that happened with my wife's family. So that's why I focused on estate planning. And I was a little bit older. I knew I wanted to run a business. I didn't want to just be a cog in a big law firm.
Yes, correct. I feel like at least like the estate planning business is matching your personality better. Because I wouldn't imagine you doing like business litigation or something like that.
And I have done it, but it doesn't suit me. You know what's interesting is it's very similar to being a minister. Because oftentimes the people in my chair, they are struggling with some sort of family crisis. Oftentimes someone has passed away and they're trying to come to terms with it. It's very similar to when you have ministry experiences in a church. The other thing is you're often helping people to make very difficult decisions about things that are very important to them, like their business, their family, their kids. Those are all, so a lot of the soft skills that you learn as a minister are very applicable to the attorney world.
That's nice. So next we talk about politics.
Okay.
I think you're the person who got me interested in American politics.
Really?
Not interested, but then like paying more attention to it. Because before I met you, like American, like United States, like U.S. Politics, I basically want no part of it. Never get involved, never spend time studying or know what's going on. So you're the person that got me interested. And then I remember we talked about this when we were in CrossFit a lot. Mm-hmm. Like who we're supposed to vote for. It was right before the 2016 election.
Trump's first term.
Yeah, we were talking about Trump. We were talking about Hillary. Mm-hmm. And then funny part was I eventually voted for Hillary. And then nowadays I look back, I'm a little bit shocked, like how I was able to vote for her. I remember you voted for her too.
I did.
Right?
Yeah, and I kind of regret that.
Yeah, I was surprised because right now looking back, like I could not believe I voted for Hillary.
But it was a different time in the country, and Trump was so different than any other politician we'd ever experienced at that point.
Right. He was straight to the point.
Well, yeah, but he would do it in a way that made a lot of people uncomfortable.
Right.
And it made me uncomfortable. Right. I was like, can I really trust this guy?
Because you are a registered Republican, right?
I am a registered Republican.
So for you to pivot and then voted for a Democrat, especially in Hillary, was going to be a hard decision.
I remember standing in the ballot box. I probably stood there for 5 minutes because I couldn't do it. But then I was like, just get it done.
It's kind of like picking like the better, worst choice. I don't know. Like
at that point, I thought it was the better choice because I don't know. I wasn't aware of a lot of the messaging that you get from different media sources at that point.
But don't you feel like ever since 2016, like the politics has become more and more polarizing?
Yes.
So right now it feels like if you're not the right, you're the left. You're not the left, you're the right.
There's
no middle ground, right?
Yeah. And both of us were always very middle ground.
We're always middle. So I feel like that's also a bad sign for the future, because I remember what made America great was because they're always willing to work with the opposing party. Mm-hmm. But then nowadays, like we just don't see it. Like for example, if Democrats is pushing a agenda that's good for the American people, because Democrat pushes it, Republican people just 100% deny it. Like they don't even consider it, and vice versa, right? So how do you think we should fix that? Or do you think there's a way to fix that? And then how you think it went from like people working together, even though their ideology might not be identical, but then they're still willing to work with the opposing party, versus nowadays it's just so diverse.
Yeah.
Like it almost feels like the left people hate the right people. The right people hate the left. Right people, not necessarily, but then...
I don't know. I don't feel like the right people hate the left people, but there's a lot of tension there.
Right.
I think... Is it salvageable? I'm not sure, honestly.
It's getting harder.
I'm not sure if Congress is actually salvageable. I don't know if Congress has the influence that it did in the past. In fact, I think people like you have more influence sometimes than people in Congress.
Yeah, like self-made media.
Self-made media, independent media, yes.
So since we talk about this, we're going to talk about Charlie Kirk.
Okay.
Because he was a self-made millionaire, and then his influence was like I think he was the most impactful Republican people to
bringing Gen
bringing
Z.
younger people into the right-wing ideologies. And then unfortunately he was assassinated a couple weeks ago. And then I don't know if you remember, I shared with you some of the Charlie Kirk clips a couple years ago.
Yeah.
So this really hits me hard. Like the death of Charlie Kirk hits me hard in multiple dimensions. First of all, like this is somebody I watch every day, almost every day. Like I watch all his contents, and then I don't agree with him 100%, but then I respect what he does. And then somebody just took his life because he thinks I don't know if you know about this, but then the shooter basically thought Charlie was a fascist.
Yeah.
Which is really, really funny because a fascist is basically terminating whoever have a different opinion than you.
Yeah, it's very ironic.
And then that's exactly what he does.
Yeah, it's very ironic.
And then Charlie is none of that. And then this is very, 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 very sad for me because somebody could just take away someone else's life because he thought of like he's something that he isn't. It is very saddening too. And then I'm going to tell you more about Charlie Kirk thing because after he was assassinated, I was really upset. I was mad. I was really sad. And then, but then something shocked me. So when they caught the shooter, I actually didn't want him to die. I actually didn't have any hateful thought on this guy. I feel like, because normally when there's an assassination like this, the shooter shot themselves, right? It's rarely a case where we can catch somebody alive. So I feel like we need to find out why he became this way. Because he's from a conservative family. And just based on the information available now, saying that his families are saying that he got a little more political in the past couple of years. And then I think his boyfriend or girlfriend is a transgender, stuff like that. And then I think that's something, that's an issue that we need to really pay our attention to so this doesn't happen again. Another thing is I feel like this assassination has drawn me closer to Christianity.
Really?
Which is shocking because, as you know, I'm not a belief guy, right? Even though we talk a lot, you always told me like one day maybe there will be an incident or something happen that will draw me closer. I feel like I'm closer now because I saw. So basically, what I thought was even if Charlie is able to revive for like an hour, I'm pretty sure he's not gonna regret anything.
Yeah.
And then that's really, really powerful. And then I don't know if you have seen Erica Kirk? So his wife, like the speech. And then she basically forgave the shooter right in front of the world pretty much because everybody was watching that.
Tremendous
that
courage.
Speech. So that has drawn me closer to Christian because I feel like because they have that true belief. So death is just temporary or like it's not like we all here to live like maybe 70, 80, 90 years old. And then it's in terms of like the whole time, like it's 70, 80 years is very, very short. So I don't know. What do you think about that? Where you, the whole Charlie Kirk thing?
I mean, when we were texting each other when this was happening, it was extremely tragic. I was also emotionally impacted by it. I think a lot of people were. That we have something like this happen in the United States of America is just unbelievable.
Right.
And, you know, he was basically, it's so interesting because he was basically doing something that America supposedly stands for. You can share your opinion.
Yeah.
And he was gunned down. So it was an awful thing. And, you know, he's got kids, he's got a wife. He's a person. Maybe that is, you know, kind of going back to what you said, we have to think about that somebody who's opposing you is a person. They come from a family. They come from a life. So there's an importance of listening to someone, even if you disagree with them. And what listening means is not just like when they're talking to you, oh, what am I going to say next? But rather, how can I really understand this person? How can I really understand their life and what they're about? The Charlie, of course, I have no idea. I only knew him from the videos too, so I don't know the man. I don't know his wife or anything. But I think that they are really good. I mean, he's not perfect. I'm sure there's a video out there that you can show where he's done something,
say the wrong thing.
Said the wrong thing, but my golly, he was out there.
Yeah.
He was out there and kind of wrestling with these ideas with people, and that happens. But the courage, I mean, he said that I don't know if he said it, but I feel like I've heard him say things where the things that he was doing mattered to the point where, he gave his life for it.
Yeah.
And in a way, if he is a follower of Jesus, that he is kind of following that path. Jesus himself gave up his life for other people.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because you have kind of two sides of the same coin with both Charlie and Erica. You have the person who gave up his life, and then you also have the forgiveness side with her, where and I'm sure she's still wrestling with it. Forgiveness is like like waves, right?
It's still even hurting me. Like, it's still hurting me every day. Like, I woke up, I just like, oh my God, Charlie's no longer with us.
Yeah.
And I'm just his viewer. I never met the guy. I saw almost all his videos, but then I feel like he's somebody that I know.
In a way, right?
Yeah.
Because you've kind of seen so much about what he thinks about things, right?
Right.
And that causes a little bit of a loss.
And then another funny part is that you remember George Floyd, right? Mm-hmm. Which is a confirmed felony, multiple counts. And then when he got killed, obviously I'm not saying like the police is not responsible for part of his death, but then the problem is how people react afterwards.
Yeah.
So George Floyd is somebody who had multiple counts of felonies, and then drug addict. Those are confirmed information. And when somebody like that died, and then what happened? There's riot everywhere. There's people breaking into the stores, especially in the Los Angeles area. Yeah. It was a crazy time back then.
It was.
People were blocking the freeway. And then, in my opinion, Charlie Kirk is 1,000 times more of a man than George Floyd. And then he was brutally assassinated. And then some of the people on the left, they celebrated it. And then the ironic part is that people on the right, there's no riot. There's nothing.
Yeah. It is starkly different. Yeah.
And I really hope everybody can see like which part of the world you want. A criminal gets killed, and then people started a riot. So the left people, they created a mess. And then when Charlie got assassinated, everybody just mourned silently, peacefully. I guess the question is like, what type of world you want to live in, right?
Yeah.
And then especially the past 10 years, I feel like the woke virus have completely taken over this world, and it's getting crazy.
There's a lot of people who are actually, it's really interesting, are just kind of voicing what they really think about things.
Right.
And whereas before, maybe like in 2016, 2017, when we used to talk about these things, you kind of keep it to yourself, unless you were in company that you were okay with kind of sharing what you really thought about things. Talking about George Floyd, I think it's important to realize that there's a lot of pain there that people have experienced over a long time. Some people will take advantage of that, with like the looting and everything.
Right.
But other people, it really hits them to their core, because even though, maybe it's not the perfect set of facts, you could say, there's still pain that is illustrated in it. And that's worth listening to, because that will give you a different perspective, or at least maybe soften your perspective.
Right.
Yeah.
So I guess the question is, like, nowadays, 2025, do you think politics can really change people's life? Like, can can politics actually be effective? Like electing President A versus President B? Like, does it really make a difference? Do you think we can make it a better world by electing a better leaders? What are the chances of that? What do you think?
I think yes. I think that general policies, can impact people's lives. And I think that more than anything else we see is that political rhetoric and the things that they say also has a tremendous impact on people's lives. So a lot of the things that are said either about the right or the left, I think it's mostly the left is saying these things. I mean, if you're realistic, come on.
Yeah.
The things that they're saying about people who kind of think differently about them, that can impact people's lives. It impacted Charlie's life and his family. But I think that what it does is that when you go too far on the political rhetoric, it causes people who are maybe on the fringe or who don't feel accepted or who are trying to have significance in their life, they end up doing things that just make very, very poor decisions. Like the fact that when that kid got up on that rooftop, he had many points where he could have said, "What am I doing?"
Yeah.
But he
still pulled the trigger.
He could have stopped. He could have stopped that morning and said, maybe I shouldn't do this. Or like when he's walking to the building, or when he walks up the stairs to the building, or when he sits down, he's laying there, he's looking out through the scope. He could have stopped. There's multiple points where he could have listened to. It's interesting. The scriptures talk about the voice of God versus the voice
of yourself,
of yourself, or of sin, or even of evil. Mm-hmm. And there's multiple points in all of our lives where we have those things, and we have to make those decisions. Which voice am I going to listen to? Which voice am I going to trust?
And the funny part was that, he said that the only reason he turned himself in was because he didn't want the SWAT team to break in his house and shoot him.
I know.
That's crazy.
Which is exactly what he just did.
Yeah.
It's so sad.
So let me share you what I think. So, because right now I have a pretty big audience, and then a lot of people actually ask, "Hey, Derek, why don't you do something politically?" What I believe is I don't think I can do as much running politics than helping people make money. Because I feel like helping people make money can significantly change the world. Mm. That's what I believe.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, so obviously you knew me for over a decade. Before, I never invest. Mm-hmm. In terms of money, I have basically no idea. I knew how to make money, but then I never knew how to manage money or how to invest money and how to let money make more money myself, right? So I learned that when I was 34, so about 5 years ago. And then in the past 5 years, I 40x my net worth in the past 5 years. And then I saw a great impact. And then, because I believe...
In what way have you seen the impact?
So basically, I feel like when you're more comfortable, in terms of financially more comfortable, you have the opportunity to develop, to make you a better person. So let's say if somebody who's making minimum wage, who are having problem paying for their food, paying for their rent, you don't expect the person to spend extra effort on how to become a better person. So I believe like having being more comfortable financially helps you develop your wisdom, because you have the luxury to do it.
You finally have the time to work on yourself.
Right. Obviously, we're not saying 100%, right? Most people are still going to chase for the dollar. When they make 100 grand, they're going to go for $1 million a year. They're going to go for 10 million a year. Most people are still like that. But I believe, like, as you get more comfortable financially, you get an opportunity to make yourself a better person, to grow your wisdom.
Okay.
It gives you that chance. But then if you're just barely flying by with your daily expense, it's really hard to focus on self-development. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm not sure I agree.
Okay.
I think I understand. It's very Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
All right.
Are you familiar with that?
Yes. So basically, because we all live in America, right? And then it's a blast to be living in this country, because most of people, even your minimum wage, you still can get by your life fairly easily, right? If you work hard.
And if you don't live in California, yeah.
Right. So but in Taiwan, a lot of people like it's almost impossible for like if you're working for somebody, it's almost impossible for you to buy a house.
Oh, really?
It's becoming a huge problem. I think over Asia too. So in order to fix that problem, you kind of have to increase your income.
Wages have to catch up.
Yes. So that's what I'm doing, because I believe helping more people, making more money.
Oh, I see.
Helping more people be more comfortable can make the world the better place.
Because then they'll have more opportunity to be able to work on themselves because they don't have to worry about these needs.
Correct. Obviously, it's not going to be 100%. It might be 10%. It might be 5%. But then if we have like 5 or 10% of the total population to start thinking more about how to become a better person, the world will be a better place.
Okay, I have a slightly different perspective.
Share with me.
So when I was a minister, I made about $800 a month.
Oh, that's very little.
Very little. I didn't even have enough to pay for health insurance.
Oh, wow.
Later on, the church paid for my health insurance, which was very kind of them. But I remember that I lost, my car broke down, and I didn't have money to pay for a new car. So. But I had to still go to church because I was, doing services and everything. So I started riding my bike to church. It was about 6 miles.
Okay.
6 miles to church and 6 miles back.
Okay.
But, it rains in Missouri. So sometimes I have to ride through the rain. I just have to carry my clothes and everything inside my bag.
Oh, wow.
But one of the interesting things, when you are struggling like that, you also really learn how to trust God.
Okay.
Which is a little bit different what you're saying, right?
Right.
Where you're saying like you got to take care of the basic things, and then you finally have time to focus on these things that are more like self-development or whatever. But I think that those are the times when, because I'll tell you a story. You can take it or leave it, whatever.
Okay.
I was so tired of riding my bike to church that I prayed, God, I need $6,000 to buy a car. That was, $6,000 was going to get me something that was going to work, that was going to be, I wasn't going to have to really worry about taking to the shop and everything. And so I prayed. And then this lady came from the church. She didn't know. She saw me ride my bike. I mean, she's like probably pitying me.
Yeah.
But she said that God had spoke to her and that God wanted for her to give me her car.
Oh, wow.
And so she ended up giving her car to me. And the value of that car, I'll let you guess how much it was. It was valued at $6,000.
Wow.
That experience, it drew me closer to God, even though I was poor. Mm-hmm. And I think that that it's the daily struggles of life that you can actually grow in your relationship with God and grow in your relationship with being even maybe what you're saying is maybe just kind of becoming a better person or whatever. From a Christian perspective, we come from a different bit of perspective where we depend upon God to change us rather than trying to change ourselves.
Okay.
But that changed me. And it also, my relationship with this lady also became very, very positive because of what she had done for me. So lots of wonderful things happen out of that experience, even though I was poor.
Wow. That's a powerful story.
Yeah.
So I feel like either way, like whether it's whatever you just presented or whatever I believe, I think they're all for the, I don't know, just I think the perspective is both good, right? So I guess when we talk about like cost of living and stuff, so let's talk about like something more relaxed. Okay. So let's talk about like cost of living in Los Angeles.
Okay.
Oh my God, what do you think? So you have 2 kids, right?
I have
a family
2 kids,
of 4.
Yes, family of 4.
So what do you think is like? So let's say living in Irvine. What do you think is like how much you think is needed per household of 4
how
in order to live comfortably? The reason why I ask is because a lot of people think living in America, like having a good job, like you're an attorney, and then obviously Anna is a nurse. A lot of people think, oh, a family like you guys should live very comfortably, and then You can share your story and tell our audience if it's true.
I think it's really, really hard. I think that the amount that you have to make in California in order to, if you want to buy a house, it's probably $400,000 or $500,000. I feel like as
household income.
Household income.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's very tough because
even that, I feel like you're strapped
because you're getting taxed heavily.
Yes,
in that bracket.
Property tax, and if you buy a house for, I was so shocked when I moved from like Kansas City area to here, and the cost of the house, and you walk around, it's got foundation issues and it's got holes in the wall and everything, and it's astronomical.
Right.
But I mean we've had to. My wife is very good at finances. It's almost like become her. It's like her game on how she can save the most money or find ways to make our money do more than what I thought it could. So she's figured out ways to make it work, but I think it's really hard. I'm not sure if I'm answering your question.
Right. So basically is so I just spoke to one of my best friend from high school, and then his household income was like 300. Mm-hmm. And then he also have 2 kids. It's basically break even.
Yeah, I believe that.
Break even, right? And
is
then,
he renting or did he buy a house?
He has a mortgage, but then mortgage is kind of low.
Oh, how did he do that?
He paid more down payments.
Okay.
He got assistance from parents and stuff.
Yeah.
But then even for him, it's kind of difficult. So if there's any kind of accident, meaning if there's a broken windshield or like a flat tire.
And that's going to happen.
Yeah. And then it basically that month it's negative, right?
Yeah.
So it's very difficult. But then statistically, you're saying like $400,000, $500,000, right? That's like a top 15% income.
Yeah.
So don't you think that's a huge problem? So
yeah, I think it's a huge problem. I think we should all move to somewhere. That's why all these people are moving out of California, because we can't afford to live here.
It's kind of crazy because like obviously in this show, all the guests are like pretty well, doing pretty well for themselves. And then like multiple guys have talked about how hard it is to live in California.
Yeah.
Like with a top 10, 15% income, you're still, I wouldn't say struggling. I would say it's comfortable. But then if anything happened, it becomes a problem. What I want to ask you is there a way to fix this? Because it's pretty much the same thing in all developed country, like good cities, like in Taipei, in Shanghai, in like all the good cities in Asia, they're basically having the same problem. So younger people, there's no way they can buy houses as a working class, which was never the case for America before. Because I remember like 25, 30 years ago, if you're like a blue collar employee, worker, you can live pretty comfortably. You can buy houses, you can drive a pretty nice car, and then you don't have to worry too much about it. And then in the past 30 years, I feel like the rich got richer, and then the middle class got poorer. And then this problem is becoming more and more serious, and it's getting more and more diverse. I feel like in the next 10 years, rich gonna get even richer, and then there's not gonna be middle class around. There's only gonna be like the uber rich people and the entry level people. Yeah. And then I don't know if it's a problem that we can fix. Obviously, what I'm doing, I'm encouraging people to have a business, to explore opportunities, and instead of like just working for somebody can potentially help, but then it's still difficult. I don't know how you fix it.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'm the economist to be able to figure it out. I mean, I think that there has to be probably attacking it at different levels. I think that there's a lot of government waste right now and corruption,
right?
And the way that we spend money. I mean, in California, we are taxed so much.
Yeah. And
why don't we have money to pay for some of these things?
Don't you feel like we're paying more and more taxes every year?
And it's always...
But then the debt is also growing.
Yeah, the debt is always growing, and it's always the same story that let's tax the rich and squeeze it more and more out of them. Okay, I mean, I guess let's say that you did do that, but let's also try to better use the money that we have instead of just spending it on special interests and everything
It's
else.
a spending problem.
Well, it's a corruption problem, I think.
Corruption and spending problem. I feel like the U.S. debt is definitely 100% a spending problem. If we don't cut the spending, no matter how much more tax you get, you're just going to spend more.
Yeah.
Right? Like whether it's supporting like a war that we shouldn't be involved in, or like get involved in everything globally.
That's true. I mean, that's an American policy. We like to have our hand in everything.
So I think there's the only way to fix it for the average Joe, like you and me, like regular people, like all our audiences, I believe is investing. I believe like everybody should value investing more, because most people, they're clueless in terms of investing, or they think it's a casino. They think it's, you just have to do it the right way. So in terms of investing, I want to talk about, first off, let's talk about real estate, because I know you're in the same camp of me, which is renting, right? Mm-hmm. I remember you told me about this like 10 years ago, maybe, when I was younger. And then I didn't really quite get it, because I was not as savvy financially back then. And then you were telling me that you feel like buying a house is not a good idea, like renting is probably better.
Well, in California.
Right. And then I didn't understand, because back then I didn't care about money, right? But now, like obviously I'm renting my home. I don't think I'm owning another home until like maybe I'm 65, 70 years old and I'm not able to rent anymore. So share about like why you think renting was a better choice.
Oh, well, I mean, property tax alone for California. If we were to buy something, our property tax payment, and that's just money going out the door.
Every year.
I mean, so that we, to be straightforward, we do own one home, and it's where we used to live, where I met you. But the place where we live right now, we don't own the home, we rent it. We probably, if we really wanted to, we probably could have bought something. But I mean, there are practical purposes. One of the practical purposes is, my kids are 7 and 8. They're really only going to be with us for maybe about another 10, 11 years before they go to college. And then what am I going to do? What am I going to keep this big house that I purchase? I mean, I guess you could see it as an investment, but I don't know. I would rather like pay like half of what my monthly payment would be, and just by renting over that period, rather and then invest what I would have paid. Right. Does that make sense? Right. And probably make off better.
So here's my theory. Okay. I'm not sure if it's true. I think it's true. So the government and corporate America want people to buy houses. This is how I think it's just a manipulation, right? So they want everybody to buy houses. The reason why is because, let's say corporate America, if you work for Google, Amazon, like big companies, you have a pretty good salaries. Normally, they first buy a car and then they buy houses, right? And then once they're stuck with a mortgage, it's a 30-year mortgage, the chances of you going to create your own business basically becomes zero. Or closer to zero, because you have that monthly burden you have to pay, right? Mm-hmm. So because of that, the corporate America can make sure that they always have enough employee working for them. So they want you to stay in middle class by buying home. It's kind of deep, but
that's very deep, yes.
but then if you really think about it, it really makes sense, because when you have a mortgage for 30 years,
you're stuck.
You're stuck.
That's the definition of slavery.
Right. And then when you want to explore other opportunity, whether it's create your own business, open your own shop,
you can't do it
because you don't have the margin for error, because you have that mortgage.
That's right.
So this is what I believe. Once you buy a house, you're pretty much done. I did buy a house too. And then another problem is most of the people they don't look at it this way. So not many people is able to stay in the same place for 30 years.
Yeah.
And then
it's a different world than it used to be.
Right. So for example, if you buy a house and you take on 30 years mortgage, they're talking about 40 years mortgage now, which is crazy. Yeah. And then if you think about it, after 15 years, let's say you want to change to a different house, you pay majority of the interest already.
Yes. You've wasted your time.
Yeah. And then like another thing is down payments, right? Yeah. Down payments, you can be used to invest in Bitcoin. You can be investing stock, right? The annual return is going to be better than real estate.
Yeah.
Real estate average about 4 to 5%. S&P is 8 to 10%. And then it has liquidity. So you can sell it.
So it makes sense to rent then.
Exactly. And then let me share you my house, right? My house is valued around like 4 million something. And then if I want to rent it, it's $7,500 per month. And then I had an agreement with my landlord. They're going to do it for 15 years for me. Obviously, every year there's like some increase, which is reasonable. But then if I want to buy the same house, I need to first put down $1 million cash in down payments. And then monthly payment, including property tax, is $25,000.
Oh my gosh.
So that's more than triple of the rent.
Yeah.
And then you have to put $1 million cash as down payments. And then guess what? If you put $1 million cash in, let's say just S&P 500, and you have, so every month, if you're renting, you're saving another like $15,000 to like $17,000. And then you DCA into the S&P market, you'll have 16, 17 million after like 15 years, 20 years. And then versus like the house, how much you can increase in value. Maybe it goes from 4 million to 5.5. It's definitely not gonna get you to 16.
Right.
So this is my way of thinking in terms of renting versus purchasing. I guess if you get to have the choice, whether you want to buy or rent, versus somebody they don't look at it as a choice. They were taught to own a home.
Yeah. Right now we have wonderful landlords. Right. I'm so grateful for them. The other advantage of renting is you don't, when things happen, if you have a good landlord, you can just say, I'm sorry, this is broken. Can you help to fix it? The one downside, which is the house that I had before, I had this beautiful garden. Yeah. And because it was mine.
You can do whatever you want.
Oh, it was wonderful. It was wonderful.
But that's also something you can work with your landlord too.
Yeah, I could. It's harder for me to change the actual land though.
Let's pivot to Bitcoin and stock or investing. I know Anna has bought some cryptos.
Yes.
I don't know how much.
Your advice.
I don't know how much you know about cryptos.
Not much.
Still not much.
Other than what the conversations I've had with you.
Right. So I believe Bitcoin is gonna change people's life, and then historically, statistically, they are the best investment in the past 15 years. Obviously, when you're investing, you never invest in something you don't understand, right? So what do you know about Bitcoin now?
Not much. Oh, you put me on the spot. No, I don't. Cryptocurrency. I've had to kind of delve into it a little bit for my clients. More on what happens if I have all these crypto accounts or whatever, and I were to pass away. What would happen? But
do you see the trend though?
I mean, yes, I see the trend. It's just like the S&P. It ultimately goes up.
But before, like when I first talked about it,
yes,
like, there was nothing. There was nothing.
When we first talked about this a long, long time ago, I was like, "Oh, this is a scam. It's never going to work." But you're proven right. Good job.
See, like the U.S. government is buying it, and then they're supporting it.
You got more and more big time people are getting behind it.
Right, and then they're pushing the Genius Act was just passed, which is like a stable coin bill. Like it's legally, it's supposed to be like legal here. And then right now they're working on market structure bill and Clarity Act, which is going to provide 100% transparency, which is amazing. Okay, so let's say, all right, investing. So what's your goal for the next 10 years? I'm really curious. What's a goal for the next 10 years?
Actually, I'm trying to figure it out.
Okay.
I'm talking to my wife right now because I have been doing. In order to save for the future, I've been doing a Roth 401k.
Okay.
And so the advantage of that is you basically pay the tax now, and then all the growth, you don't pay any tax on that growth when you take it out in the future. Yeah. And I've got a significant amount saving over time. I've had to work hard at that, been very disciplined. But now we're at the point where my wife and I were thinking, how long do we really want to work? Before we kind of maybe want to pivot to something else. And should we continue to put it into this Roth 401k? Because I can't touch that until 58 and a half.
Okay. So did they change it? I thought it's 65.
You can withdraw at 58 and a half without a penalty.
Okay.
So should I, because I put, a significant amount, maybe about a couple grand a month into this account, this retirement account, which already has enough, if you follow the numbers, it'll probably double over 10 years, right? So maybe I should put it into an investment account where it's easier to reach into. But
you pay taxes.
If I take it out, I pay tax on the gain.
Yeah.
So am I going to work another 10 years? Because I'm 48, almost 49.
Are you?
Yeah.
Wow.
I know. It's because I look so handsome. You don't think
Okay, so the next 10 years, are you still planning to run your attorney business?
Yes. Okay. Gosh, I've worked so hard at this point. I'm about 15 years in.
Yeah.
So, and a lot of clients depend on me to get stuff done, and they depend on me for my work and everything. So I don't want to leave those people out there hanging.
Right.
But I also don't want to work till I'm 70 either. There's other things I want to do. I want to write. I want to, be more involved in my kids' lives and everything.
I think that's smart.
Yeah.
Because seeing kids growing up so fast.
That's right.
Like Aiden is turning 6 this weekend. And
It's
then I
very
just feel like
fast.
the 6 year was just like a blur. And I don't want to, this is why I work, like my work schedule is between 15 to 25 hours a week. Yeah. It's because I don't want to, I don't think any amount of money is worth for me to miss out on some of the Aiden's growth, right? I want to be part of like everything.
Yeah, I agree. There are some people that will even advocate for kind of, if you're running a business, kind of putting the brakes on the business until you're older and the kids will get out. But I don't want to continue to work when I'm older. That's
I know
the downside of that. But
I guess the last question is, if you get an opportunity to go back to tell like yourself, like to meet yourself, to meet your younger self at the teens, at 20s, and at the 30s, like what would you tell them?
I would. So I invested when I was young.
Okay, smart man.
But I would encourage that younger self to do it even more.
Okay.
Gosh, I mean, like I said, I only made like $800 a month back then. So I think I was saving $100.
You were still able to save $100?
I was eating beans and rice. I was in
Wow.
And you, like I said, you learn a lot about depending on God at that time. You pray and money will come somehow. So it's a wonderful time of life. But I would. You got to start early because the interest and the
compound interest.
The compound interest is really
very powerful.
It's incredibly powerful.
Yeah.
So, and the other thing is, my parents were very good people, but they weren't really financially savvy when it comes to this stuff. And there's thinking about those things when you're young and trying to educate. So I'm trying to help my kids, and it's this balance because you don't want to just like give the kid money because that's not going to do anything for their character. But you also don't want them to be foolish with money because it's such a powerful tool to do the things that you want to do.
Yeah, compounding is very, 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 very powerful. A lot of people just misunderstood it. And then especially in the crypto investing market, a lot of people, they just want to get rich next week.
Yeah.
Which is bad because...
that's the way people used to think about the stock market too.
That's why there's only 10%, less than 10% people who can actually consistently make money in the world of investing. It's because people always have that short-term sight. They always look... They always want to get rich next week, next month, next year. And then I think the right mindset to have is how much you want to have by the time you're 50 or by the time you're 60. Look long term, look decades, not years, especially not months or weeks. So that's basically
that long-term planning is something I did not have as a young man.
It's okay because I didn't develop that until 5 years ago. We still have a chance to get better. OK， 那今天就跟大家聊到这边啦，希望大家会喜欢今天的节目。如果喜欢的话呢，在下面订阅、分享、开小铃铛。那我们下次见啦，拜拜。
Success is earned, not left to fate. Most see the prize, the shining gold, yet miss the story left untold. They watch the heights, the grand ascent, but not the nights in deep lament. To rise above, to stand out strong. You battle doubts, you prove them wrong. From common ground to elite's embrace, the path is steep, a test of grace. Each volley scar, silent fight, becomes the fuel that sparks your